On this segment of Money with Murph, we're going to talk all about RILAs. RILAs are something that are becoming very popular, something you may have heard of already. We're going to dive right in, so let's get started. RILA stands for Registered Index-Linked Annuity. It's a variable annuity, but likely not what you think when you hear the word annuity. In fact, there's a discussion going on through Congress right now to make these their own category of investment products. So here's a rundown on what a RILA is, what you need to know, and let me break down some specifics for you. What is it? A RILA boils down to an investment tied to the performance of a specific index and will enhance the returns or dampen the losses should you hold through the whole term. This is a growth-oriented investment product. What it is not an income-oriented product. There's no monthly check, there's no income riders, and there is no principal protection. Fees. Some of these products have fees, some have low fees, and some even have no annual fees. The term. This is how long the product is designed to be held. Typically, we're looking at about 3 to 7 years. The longer the maturity, typically the higher the rates offered. The big negative is lack of liquidity and penalties to get out early. Tied to. These products base their performance off of the performance of a major stock market index. Make sure you understand what your product would be tied to. Buffer. This is one of the most attractive features of a RILA. It means that the carrier takes on the first amount of loss up to whatever buffer you select. But keep in mind, it is not a floor. So what do I mean? Here's an example. If your buffer was 10% and the performance of your chosen index was negative 15, you would still have a loss of 5%, and the insurance carrier would take on that first 10% of loss. Participation rate. This is the other main attractive feature of a RILA. This is the amount of performance the account does relative to your chosen index. For example, if you chose a RILA with 120% participation rate and the chosen index ends up doing 10%, your account would do 12%. So there are pluses and minuses to any investment, but hopefully this serves as a good starting point in your understanding of the key terms and concepts around RILAs.
Stephen, thanks for that background and that education. They have become super popular. We hear more and more advisors that are talking about it with their clients. Clients come with more and more questions. Potential clients come to us with those types of products they've had for a number of years. They become much more prevalent. Let's switch gears for a minute and let's talk about our top things to consider when looking at a RILA as an investment. Number one, did you evaluate other providers? This is key. There's a whole bunch of different companies that I can name that are providers of these RILA type products. And if you're going to move down the path with one provider, you want to make sure that you yourself or your advisor have evaluated the other options that are out there. They have different fees. They have different surrender schedules. They have different buffers of protection. They have different upsides. They have different insurance carrier ratings, all things that you need to consider when choosing a strategy. Make sure that you got what you think is going to be the right one for you. Strategy number two, how does it fit in your overall plan? This is important. Any investing you do at all cannot be done in a vacuum. It has to be taken in totality of your overall plan. The negative with RILAs is a lack of liquidity. So when you think about an overall plan, if you had $1 million portfolio, how much do you want in that RILA? How close are you to retirement? When are you going to need an income stream? These are products that are typically growth oriented that you're typically not going to tap for 6 years plus. So keep that in mind. You have to make sure you have enough liquidity in other places if you're going to use a strategy like this. Strategy number three, do you have enough liquidity in other places? This is key. This is important as that is one of the biggest negatives of this type of strategy. Make sure you have enough liquidity in the rest of your overall plan. Number four, how is the advisor getting paid? You could ask that advisor that question. And one of the biggest challenges I see with any annuity, including RILAs, is you get an advisor that took an upfront commission and no longer services that client. It's almost like they disappeared. Client never hears from them again. You don't want a relationship like that. You want to have an advisor where those incentives are aligned, that they're going to continue to service your account ongoing. And even no matter what type of annuity you might have, there often is an annual servicing component that's needed to make sure that annuity stays on track. For example, some RILAs have what's called a manual lock-in feature that needs to be evaluated consistently as you get closer to maturity. Maybe you want to lock that thing in 6 months out or a year out to lock in some of those gains. It's something you have to look at, and your advisor should be helping you with. Number 5, what are you getting for the fees that you're paying? There's a lot of advisors out there that can recommend a RILA strategy or a type of annuity that's out there. But what are you getting for the fees you end up paying that advisor? It's critical. A lot of these products are the same, regardless of what advisor you select. But is that advisor providing a more comprehensive approach to planning? Are they providing context of how this investment fits in your plan? Are they providing tax strategy? Are they providing a comprehensive view of where you're going to pull from and when? Are they providing retirement planning? Are they providing an estate review? What are the things that they provide? You may be getting this RILA from this advisor, and all you're getting is investment advice, but another advisor may be providing you with a comprehensive suite of strategy and financial planning. And I think it's important to know what you're getting for your money. Strategy number 6, did you evaluate other options? Maybe the RILA is not the right thing. Did you look at managed accounts, actively managed, passively managed? Did you look at conservative investments, higher yielding investments, dividend plays, all kinds of different strategies out there in the investment universe? And no matter what investment you do, you want to make sure it fits into your overall strategy and plan, and that you've really gone into it with your eyes open, knowing what other options might be out there. Those are some of my top tips when looking at a RILA investment. Hope that was helpful. Stephen, was there anything else that you wanted to add about this RILA topic? I know it's a big one. You're working on publishing an article in the weeks ahead on RILAs specifically. Anything to add on the RILA strategy?
I think RILAs have become much more popular recently because of the higher interest rates. Obviously, 30-year mortgage at 8% is not a good thing. Well, for most people, it's not a good thing. But it is really, those higher interest rates have really enhanced the offerings that these RILAs have. So these RILAs have been around for a while, but now they're becoming extremely attractive with some of the buffers, with some of the participation rates, with some of the fees. They are really good growth products that could be a big piece of your portfolio, or a very well situated piece of your portfolio.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've gotten really competitive for what you just said, rates. I mean, I looked at one 6 years ago that had a 6-year maturity and had a cap on the upside, I think about 70%. Now a similar type strategy, you might not have a cap at all. You've got more upside potential. Just as you mentioned, those rates have got much more competitive. And so it's become much more relevant to look at. Also, if you compare to these liquid buffered strategies, these longer term RILAs are similar in a way that they give a buffer, sometimes more of a buffer than the liquid ETFs. And they often give a lot more upside potential. You're giving up something with the liquidity, the time frame you have to hold it, but they become much more attractive.